Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and I know I'm kind of rushing this out real quick, because more than likely the ban list is happening tomorrow. I'm recording this on a Thursday. I just want to give my 2 cents in what I think should be banned, what needs to be, like, limited, and what needs to come off the ban list, quite frankly. So, let's just dive in here, make it real quick. Piccolo the Infiltrator. This card was like a couple bucks when it first came out, and then when I was at Nats, this card just shot up in price. It was like over $20 a card, because people realizing, oh damn, Crimson is like using this card in like hate crimes. It felt like, because the card is so good, and it really is. It absolutely is ridiculous. Essentially, it's a 2 cost. It's a 2 cost 20k dual attack that can either give itself barrier or grab a pan from your deck, which can be used as combo fodder, which then turns into Z energy, and draws you a card. It's so good. So people basically run 4 of this card in their deck and 4 pans. I would not be surprised if this card got limited to 1. Now, if it gets limited to 1, people aren't going to run the pans anymore, because I feel like pan is just not nearly as good without this card. But I could still see people running a couple copies of pan just for a 1 cost, draw 1 with barrier, get to combo something. Who knows? But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be entirely upset if this gets limited to 1. Next up, SS4 Vegeta Rise of the Super Warrior. This card has been around since set 11, so good God, almost 10 sets ago. And it wasn't all that amazing back in the day, but now it is, because blue's been on the increase, on the uprising, because blue is just really good against red, which was the heavily prominent color in the meta for the longest time. And honestly, I could also see them limiting this card to 1, or making... I don't want an errata. I really don't want any type of errata on most cards, unless it absolutely has to. And I feel like this card doesn't need that necessarily. It could be limited to 1. Cool. Then if you're able to draw it, awesome. If you can't draw it, then yeah. Or if it had to be errata, I could see it being like, blue Saiyan leaders only. No, there's a lot of blue Saiyan leaders. Maybe some, like Eggman talked about making it a leader lock to the SS4 Vegeta leader, which I mean that deck wants to ramp anyway. So I think the card's solid. It's a really good card if you can play it. I know some guy ramped 8 energy in 1 turn off 2 copies of this card, which is insane. But yeah, especially combining it with the Secret Rare Goku Blue leader. Yeah, it's so good. But I'd be okay with it if it went to limited 1. And we're keeping on that blue train with Majin Buu, Assault of the Agents of Destruction. Leave the card alone. Unisons have been on the decline since Zenkai came out, because Bandai really doesn't want you playing Unisons. They want you to play with Z stuff. And I feel like this card adds a lot of value, but it can't pump itself up unless you stack 1 underneath it. I've had mine blown up on in 1 turn before, so like I don't think it's that big a deal. I think the card has become worse and worse as the sets have gone on. I really don't think it's that big of an issue anymore, so I'm gonna say it's fine. It's fine for now. Now this doesn't make sense. Some people are calling for Dirty Burst to be banned because it's a staple now in every blue deck. The reason why it's a staple in every blue deck is because Red Gogeta was a thing. Red Sin was a thing. Red Gogeta is a thing. Red Sin was a thing. And it does help against like big boss monsters. Really, I mean, you should see it coming at this point. If a blue player is leaving 2 energy up, more than likely they have a Dirty Burst. I think the card is fine. I think it is a necessary evil because of what Gogeta had. Like, Gogeta is still a red deck, and is probably one of the best, if not the best, red deck in the game right now, prior to set 20. So I think this card is fine. if they can dial back on, you know, how powerful, how early on their boss monsters can come out. That's a big thing. Boss monsters are able to come out super early nowadays, on like for like 2 or 3 energy. An 8-cost card for 2 to 3 energy is not. I don't think that's really fair. So I think this card is a necessary evil, at least for now. If that changes in the future, we can come back to it. But I think right now, Dirty Burst is fine. All right, I'm just gonna go by color at this point, really, for OCD purposes. As a Super Saiyan Trunks God Sealing Technique, I think this should be removed from the ban list and limited to 1. Reason being is you have to have a unison with 2 or more markers, which once again, unisons are very hard to stay on the board nowadays. Or if you can get a bigger unison out so that way you could play it, that's way later in the game. And limiting it to 1, I feel like is fair because yellow has so many limit 1 cards. Why can't blue have that? I didn't even think this card was that big of a deal. Like, I get why they want to get rid of it because they don't want to put down deflect on every single boss monster going forward. But I feel like banning it was a little harsh. My opinion, though. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. All right, yellow. Now, yellow, I'll admit, has not really been crazy, overpowered. I think for the most part, it's been pretty solid. It's been awesome. Yellow is always going to be a good color, in my opinion. And I'm glad they took a little bit of time away to, took a little resources away from yellow development to just kind of make other colors better. But there's a couple yellow cards I have a problem with. One, Release from Evil. This card was not that good when it first came out because, of course, it didn't negate the attack, but it stopped them from being able to use, like, double strike, triple strike, anything like that. My reason why I think this needs to be... I don't think it needs to be banned. I think it does need to be errated to not affect leaders. I think a card being able to affect a leader is really, really dumb. And, yeah, I worst case, limit it to 1. I know, another yellow limited 1, but that's what happens when you overtune yellow. But I definitely think this should not be able to affect leaders. I think that's kind of crazy. This can shut down certain decks, and that's just, I think that's very unbalanced. All right, Bergamo Ferocious Roar. I know this card's limited to 1, but I still think it's ridiculous. A card that allows you to essentially choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards or energy. Battle cards, whatever. I don't like the fact that it can tap down energy. I think that's a little over-tuned. Once again, limited 1, true, but yellow can just tap down things for so easily. It's so easy to get this card out if you have it in hand. Or make it cost more, And, yeah, that's just my main thing about it. I know it's a little gripe, but I'm just trying to find some fun cards to throw on this list. Frieza Divine Transformation. I know what you're thinking. A set 12 card? Why? Well, because this card I think is basically a secret rare with how powerful it is. With deflect, double strike, and blocker, true, it's 5 cost, but getting to 5 energy, dropping this guy down, or even waiting until turn 6 to play it is still pretty easy for, I think, yellow to do. Basically, while this card is, if your leader is yellow, choose all of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, KO them, flip 1 card face up in your life, face down. At the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode. So you can swing with it and then just restand it, gets blocker. So it's not, you can't just KO it through battle. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a counterattack skill, choose up to 2 of their cards, switch them to rest mode, and they cannot be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next turn. So tapping down any card, that could be leader, unison, energy, that's just too good. And then keeps it tapped down for a whole turn. Insane. Almost 2 turns. KOing a whole board, being able to attack and restand, I just think that's too good of an ability, and I think the card needs to be banned, because I have a feeling if the game does slow down, this is going to see way more play. Just banning. It's too good. Lord Slug, Super Namekian. This card is just freaking annoying because, oh boy, we all know it's another good yellow tech card. If your leader is yellow or a Slug's Army, and you discard this card from your hand, play up to 1 Slug's Army card with a cost of 1 from your deck, and shuffle your deck. That's not the big deal. The big deal is when this card is in rest mode, your opponent cannot add cards in their deck to their hand using non-leader card skills. So super combos can't draw from them. Any card that lets you draw one besides your leader or awakening skill can't be done. The fact that it has barrier is just super annoying, because they'll usually just defend the crap out of it all turn, make you waste your resources, and then next turn, like, it's just... I think the card needs to be banned. I just think it's a future-proof. It's a future-proof move for the future, you know? That's just me personally. Alright, this is a fun one for me. Bardock the Progenitor. Progenitor? Progenitor. Okay, whatever it is. I think this card needs to be unbanned and limited, is errata to Goku lineage leaders only. Because it's just, it has a swap engine. It was one of the swap engines for the Goku's lineage leader to begin with. This would be a huge boost to that leader. And I just think it doesn't need to be banned anymore. There's worse cards that are like playable nowadays. So my thoughts are unban it and limit it to Goku's lineage leaders only. But that's just my opinions. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Okay, SS4 Gogeta Triumphant Together. This card needs some type of hit. I think this card creates such an unbalanced board state, basically being uninteractable. If this card comes out on the board, you are essentially screwed. And I think this absolutely needs to be... I don't want to limit it because it's the boss monster of the Gogeta deck, and I don't want to get rid of it personally, but I think the thing that needs to happen is it needs to be errata so that it can be targeted by skills. You know, what's the point of having a card that doesn't have barrier? Basically it says this card cannot be targeted by things, aka barrier. At least to me. I think it needs to have, just get rid of that. And, yeah, fuck it, give it barrier. Like, that way at least there are certain cards that say ignoring barrier that can still interact with it. I think that would be way better. I think it's way too good for now, and it's going to be the reason why Red Gogeta is still amazing. And, yeah, it needs some kind of hit. Yeah. And finally, rounding out this list, I have Rush Attack Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. I think this is the best Z Battle card in the game, probably tied with Blue Cell. The reason why I think this is a little slightly better, though, is because the fact is it costs 2 Z energy to play, 2 energy. You get back the Z energy you spent to play it when it attacks, as it swings essentially twice. It gets to KO something, the 15k or less, each attack, so it's not a once per turn thing. And then if it gets double strike and barrier on its second swing, and a 10k boost. So first swing 15k, KO something 15k or less, or neg something 15k, and then get a Z energy. So it becomes a 20k swing. Then swing again, essentially becoming 25, then getting the 5k boost from the combo to 30, KOing another card 15k or less, or minusing something another 15k, which at that point you could almost take out a 30k or less, and then it has barrier. I've lost games where like my opponent literally has nothing left to play, and then they just play this and win. I just think this, I think it needs to be limited to 1 per sideboard. Sorry, not sideboard. 1 per Z deck, because what's to stop person from spamming multiples of these out per turn? Because it's not unique. It's not limited to 1. You know what? How about this? Give it unique. So only 1 can be played on the board at a time. I would be okay with that. But, you know, that's just me personally. Oh, wait. Hold on. There's one more thing. Honorata Soul Striker. That's all. I'm going to keep fighting for this, because I got that card out of the collector's binder only to have it errataed 2 weeks later. That hurts, man. But that's me personally. I think right now the meta's in a really interesting spot where I think for the most part everything's really good. There's just a few little tweaks, especially the next set coming out so soon. I'm very excited to see what the meta will turn out to be. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, guys. And I'll check you out when the ban list gets revealed. Take care.